All right, everybody, welcome to the Texas runoff election. Okay, tonight it'll be interesting to see if tonight's a quick night or not. It will be interesting to see how many people in the Republican Party in Texas are literally just sheep to Donald Trump. It will be interesting. We already have a few counties that have come in, and we'll see how that goes. Now, I'm trying to get some stuff on YouTube up. The problem is my election history video, I literally just finished it about 5 minutes ago, right before here. So I was rushing to get on. For those who are members and Patreon members, that should be available tonight, but I'm literally waiting for it to upload now. And so yeah, so here we go. We got some results coming in. We already have Denton County going 62% for Ken Paxton, which tells me the sheep are in. The sheep are going to vote for whatever the dear leader tells them to. Because I figure if there's anywhere maybe Cornyn would do well, it's going to be the Denton and Tarrant counties, Wright and Collin counties, those suburban counties around Dallas, and then also Montgomery County, where the southern part, that's where the Woodlands is, stuff like that. That's what we're going to be watching now. They are great. They are starting to get. They're actually getting more votes. Here, okay. I look at it this way. This race is over, isn't it? We'll see what comes in, but 70% of the vote coming in from Dallas County. Granted, Dallas County is not a Republican county, but if Cornyn's only pulling only pulling ahead 51-49 in Dallas County, that means he's not going to be able to pull the win off anywhere else. Paxton's won this thing. I think what we're going to look at is we're going to see how much of a victory this is. Now, the one I really want to see is what's going to happen in some of these congressional races, like this Colin Allred. Is he going to be able to win a seat back in Congress? So we'll see this, and this is one of the dynamics with a lot of the Democrats. We're going to see if they're going to be able to hold on, because obviously we have two incumbents here, Christian Menefee and Al Green, who are running against each other. Al Green, a big establishment. I don't want to say establishment. I mean more like an institutional establishment instead of being, let's say, an establishment Democrat. So we have Al Green and Menefee fighting for the seat here. We have some other Republican ones here. I read a little bit about this, but I don't remember the backstory behind it. Here you have a contentious one outside of San Antonio. You have Johnny Garcia basically calling the Democrat a like an anti-Semitic socialist. It's nuts. But yeah, Paxton has won. There's no way. I mean, unless election day votes swing heavily towards Cornyn. I'm sorry, if Paxton's winning Tarrant County by 60% and Denton County by 62%, and Cornyn's barely winning Dallas, I mean, again, it's not a Democratic county. It's basically over by this point. We might have a very, very short night tonight. So, yeah, so the sheep. So now the question will be how much. Oh, wow. Okay. A lot more coming in. So Cornyn's ahead down here. So it does look like down in the valley, maybe that'll be some Cornyn stronghold areas. But all these other areas. Now, I will say I am kind of surprised that even in these rural counties, you're only seeing Paxton up 60-40. 62, 60. Okay, that's 100%. That's got to be a miscalculation. Then you get out the western part, Deaf Smith. I love these county names in Texas. 56-49. So it's. I'm looking at some of these rural counties. I mean, granted, they're very small amount of votes, but if I've driven through Jones County before, those aren't huge numbers for Paxton. The fact that Denton and Tarrant County are equaling that, um, that says something. So Texas, a lot of Texas had their early vote dump. That's what we're seeing, and we're seeing it. We don't have Colin in. The main ones I'm really looking at now is to see what Montgomery, well, Harris actually, Montgomery and Colin, like what they're going to bring in. But for all intents and purposes, it's done. I do not see how, when your early numbers are coming out this quickly, this much for Paxton, I don't see how this can be a win for Cornyn. So Cornyn's done. So you have another sitting incumbent Republican senator who has questioned the dear leader, Donald Trump. And let's be honest, I mean, I keep on asking this question, are we going to have free and fair elections this year? That number keeps on becoming no more and more and more. When I asked the question at the beginning of the year, everyone's like, no, you're crazy. But then after Minnesota, now people are starting to think that. But anyway, yeah, Paxton's won this. The sheep are in. Oh, it does look like Cornyn got another county here. But, I mean, even this early on, with this trend, I don't see. I don't see how Cornyn could win. Unless, like I said, unless the election day vote swings heavily to Cornyn. I just don't see that. It'll be interesting. Now, if you want to support the channel, you can go over to my website, votingtrend.com, and you can sign up and become a member and look at some of the precinct maps that have been that we have been building over the last few months here, that have like election races, state house, state senate races, stuff like that. We just went ahead and added a new map, the Wisconsin map as well. So the Wisconsin map for 2024 has just been added, so you can go ahead and check that out. But I am wondering, when it comes to the Texas map, how much this is going to mirror what we see here. We're going to see more typically Democratic places going more for Cornyn. Now, one thing that is very important to realize when it comes to these races is that if you voted in the Democratic primary, the first one, you cannot then switch and vote in the Republican runoff. The only people that can vote in the Republican runoff are those who either voted in the Republican primary or didn't vote in the primary at all. Okay. So, now, also another thing on my website, and this might even confirm it even more, I do my ratings as well, right? Congressional ratings, U.S. House, U.S. Senate. Well, that would be congressional. I also have some legislative ratings in there. So, for example, like for the state of Alaska, the Democrats look in a good position to possibly take control of the state of Alaska's state house and fully take control of it, and maybe not go into a coalition if they don't want to. But when it comes to the U.S. Senate seat in Texas, I've always had this as a toss-up. Okay, now Cornyn is out. Now that we have the candidates set, we're going to go ahead and start seeing how this plays out. Now, let me see. So you might be asking yourself, why are they not calling this yet? They won't call it until all the polls are closed. Out here in El Paso County, and probably these counties out here, they're in the mountain time zone. So therefore, those polls are still open. And once those polls close in 49 minutes from now, then they're going to go ahead and call this for Cornyn. They can go ahead and call like these congressional races, once they're done. But the ones that are statewide, they're going to be, they're going to wait until 50 minutes from now to call the race. And we'll stay then. We'll stay till then. We'll stay until there's 50, until they actually call it. And then we're going to call it the night early. Very, very low live stream today. So not much of an incentive for me to stay on, to be honest. I think for all of us, we were just kind of wondering if this was going to be how it played out. But we'll see what the polls say afterwards. Hold on a second. Now, if any of you ever follow my history channel, election history, you might know that I always have issues with copyright problems. I'm in one copyright dispute now, and I've won all of them. I'm seeing if my new video has a copyright issue as well. Yeah, so okay, so we just got Collin County here. Collin County 61% for Paxton. I do find what I do find. I mean, yes, there are 70s and stuff like that, but I'm kind of surprised in some of these areas how much support you're seeing for Cornyn. Quite a bit. And I love this. I mean, obviously, if Talrico loses, we get a crazy bastard in the Senate. That goes without saying. Ethically challenged crazy bastard who just follows the dear leader in the Senate. But this gives, I assume, the last person elected to the U.S. Senate who is a Democrat from Texas would have been Lloyd Bentsen. I guess that would have been him, right? Because then he became Secretary Treasurer. He was replaced by I forget whom. And then that was last time the Democrats held this. Phil Gramm used to be a Democrat. Then he switched over to being a Republican. But when he was elected to the U.S. Senate, he was a Republican when he was elected to the U.S. Senate. So, yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Don't underestimate the power of crazy. I truly believe that this country is going to hell in a handbasket really damn quick. And if you don't have your exit strategy, well, it could be an issue. I mean, even tell you, I didn't even get this all. Hold on. I didn't even totally fix this. I was in so much of a rush to get my video done. So yeah, let's see. I mean, I threw some other ones up here just to see. Colin Allred is in the lead, 56% in. I assume this is all Dallas County. That this is, yeah, it's completely within Dallas County. I mean, really, Jasmine Crockett could have run for this seat if she wanted to. She didn't. Okay, there's no law that you have to be obligated to live in the district, but she could have run for that seat. I mean, we might end this early because this is, I mean, honestly, this is quite boring. I mean, Bexar County is going to be more Democratic, obviously. But in and around Dallas, I mean, and this, I think this is what you need to consider when you're looking at these numbers. Okay. The 41% voting for Cornyn in Tarrant, the the 38% voting for him in Denton County. In Collin County, that 38%. And then the 50% voting for him in Dallas. There are not as many Republicans there percentage wise, but it's a big population. These are going to be your ones that decide to stay home and say, I'm not voting for Paxton, or maybe flip over to Talrico. Now, a lot of the polls that came out, I did a whole entire video about this. When the polls came, a recent poll came out, basically they asked Republicans who are Cornyn or Paxton supporters, who would you vote for? And like an overwhelming majority said that they were going to vote for the other Republican. But now that we're actually outside of the actual primaries and runoffs, and now we're one-on-one, now will be interesting to see how James Talrico battles Ken Paxton. Because I don't think I think Paxton is going to try to land attacks against Talrico that won't land. And I think, geez, something with my throat today. I think Talrico, the worry that I have for James Talrico, and I really don't know if it's an asset or a liability. I do worry with Talrico that's Travis County. I do worry with Talrico that he might play it a little too safe. Like he'll play choir boy a little bit too strongly, which for all intents and purposes, I don't know if you're going to want to do that in general election. You'll have some 527s and others come in and decide to spend money in this race. And they might land the blows, right? You might have the swift boat type of things or whatever on the side of Talrico actually do that. But overall, Talrico has built this kind of choir boy image, and I don't know if he wants to necessarily break that image. That's going to be something to talk about. Dave, this is slightly off topic, but you mentioned, so Danielson, thank you for the super chat. Dave, this is slightly off topic, but you mentioned that David Jolly hiring Christian Olvert basically lost him the race. Yeah, he's done. Is this just because the Florida Dems suck, or is there something specific about Olbert that's bad? No, Olvert has always been, he has been like one of the top campaign strategists in Florida, with the exception of some races in Miami-Dade County, who always loses. If any of you know who Billy Corbin is, he's the producer and director, I think, of a number of documentaries that have been on Netflix that really focus on Miami and like the drug traffic and all that. He's been shitting on Olvert for years. For me, when it comes to Christian Olvert, my first encounter with him was in 2012. I was running a state house campaign, and he was the political director of House Victory, which was the Democratic Party's, well, it's not the actual Democratic Party, but the House leadership, which was nothing and has been nothing for a while. Actually, Christina Nair's now is really good. But he was the political director of House Victory. So my first encounter with him is usually if House Victory wants to coordinate or do something with the campaign, they go ahead and contact the campaign manager and then coordinate. He was trying to circumvent, and he talked to the candidate directly, which is basically a no-no. And so he was constantly talking to the candidate directly. I ended up leaving that campaign because of that. But Christian Olvert is one of those political consultants in Florida. He's a communications expert. And anyone buying television ads in today's day and age is stupid. It's just plain stupid. Okay, social media, online marketing, that's the way to go. Somebody doing a highly produced television ad to be on TV. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time I watched. Oh, yeah, okay. I watched television Sunday to watch the Indianapolis 500 and the last day of the Premier League to see if Tottenham would be relegated. That's that. Before that, I don't even know the last time I watched television. It's a waste of money. So Christian Olvert and the Florida cabal of consultants basically just suck money dry. If you want to know why Democrats lose in Florida, it's because the state party apparatus always recommends the same political consultants that constantly lose because it's a cycle of money. That's it. So that answers your question. Okay, so Montgomery County did come in. Yeah, 60. Yeah, but you know what? I mean, Montgomery County is kind of one of those. It reminds me a lot of Southwest Florida, where you have kind of, you know what? Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Southwest Florida, where you have kind of the rabid MAGA people, the people who are the suburbanites, but they have their big Hummer truck with a, with their MAGA stickers on it and all that. Oh, we do have a few more in. Wow, Menifee. Holy shit, that surprises me. I haven't been following this district. Kind of looks shaped like Fulton County, Georgia. Well, Menifee won that. They declared him the winner. Wow. I didn't know Al Green was in that much trouble. I mean, I did not follow it, but I thought it would have been closer than that. That's done. That's over. Let's see what's happening with Colin Allred's seat. They haven't done any. It looks like they haven't done any election day votes there. Paxton seems to be increasing his lead. Yeah, if anybody knows, and if anyone wants to do a super chat, it's greatly appreciated. I'll get to your questions if you do a super chat for sure. If anybody knows what the inside scoop is with the Al Green race, because that margin surprises me. Maybe not that Menifee won. It was kind of like this generational change, but it kind of surprises me. And what's interesting, getting back to Florida really quick, the first commercial that Jolly released, and he released it on Twitter of all stupid places to release it. Well, I think he might have had it on Facebook too. The commercial starts with his wife speaking, talking about how bad Florida is. And it's like, no, have a voter talk about how bad Florida is. The problem with Jolly, and I'll admit that I can have this problem from time to time, he's given the vibes of I'm the smartest person in the room syndrome, and I don't think that's going to fly. Yeah, Jolly's a shit candidate. You have to ask yourself, why did Jolly even become a Democrat in the first place? Solely to run for governor of Florida. If I would be voting for Jerry Demings, not a fan of his, but I would be voting for Jerry Demings in the primary for governor down in Florida. Vindman, I would be voting for him for the Senate. I do like him. But I like his position on Ukraine, and I definitely know Vindman's going to be a strong supporter of Ukraine because he was born in Ukraine, right? But the fact that we got Demings and Jolly in Florida kind of goes to the point that the Florida Democratic Party is broken. It's broken for many reasons. Congratulate me. My, as of right now, my election history video was monetized. It didn't come up with a copyright crap. So for those of you who actually follow my channel, that video will be up tomorrow for people who are Patreon members and members of the election history channel. That will be up tonight. Texas corporate Dem sounds Republican to me. Yeah. No, but a lot. I mean, Texas has a lot of that issue, and Talrico, and this really goes to the point of if Talrico wins. I mean, there's really what the only we have a few primaries coming up. We have the one going on in Iowa. That I mean, honestly, I'm more interested in the Iowa primary than I am this runoff right here, which is going to be next week. Let me see. I'm gonna look at. Wait. Want to look at what primaries we have tomorrow. And honestly, if I'm only gonna get 274 live, you know, viewers during, I'm only gonna do these elections. It hasn't been a great return to YouTube, I'll tell you that. My election history channel's taking off. This, no. So Tuesday we have the California, or the second, we have the California primary, obviously one to watch. Iowa, I'm really interested in that. Montana, New Jersey. I don't know if Thomas Keene Jr. has an opponent in the Republican primary. Probably not. New Mexico and South Dakota. So California and Iowa are the big ones. Iowa, you kind of have a kind of progressive person who his name, I forget his first name, his last name's Walls. He's endorsed by Elizabeth Warren and others. He comes from that wing. He's, I believe, the Senate Democratic minority leader in the Senate, right? Against a member of the House who is a Paralympian and is from near Omaha on the other side of the border. Then obviously we have the California primary, which I haven't followed any. I mean, honestly, tell you the truth, I've been looking at like everyday politics. I haven't been looking at anything like that. But anything can happen in California. Anything. Surprised they still don't have more votes in for all red. Yeah, Garcia's going to win this one. It looks like. Because unfortunately, we live in a society right now that if you question anything regarding Israel, you'll be labeled an anti Semite. I mean, that's where we are nowadays. And that's a problem that the Democratic Party needs to deal with. I mean, with California, there is a possibility. Okay, I think the possibility of two Republicans making it to the runoff is now kind of over. I think the Katie Porter votes, which I thought she was going to be in the runoff, I think the Katie Porter votes are starting to shift. Turek, that's his name. Josh Turek, that's his name. So he's winning 52-31. And Walz is more progressive. I would support Walz, but I think Turek is actually maybe the more, because he's the more attractive candidate maybe in Iowa, but people are like, oh, you don't want to get a progressive in Iowa. Tom Harkin was a progressive in Iowa and he was there for years, right? So that kind of blows that argument. Has there been anything out of California? I mean, like now, I mean, like, I don't know about you guys. I'm just looking. Sorry, I'm just looking at these polls. I've never heard Pan Atlantic. Who are they? I think they might be a Maine specific poll. I'm not sure. Evitria, like who is this? Like, I mean, we're shitting out pollsters like diarrhea. I mean, like, what is going on here? I mean, we'll see Bashara win, Steyer. I mean, it's going to be, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Steyer and Bashara. It could be. I mean, it could be. Porter has totally lost support. That's gone to Bashara. We'll see how that all pans out. But we might end this. I'm just going to reset my. We might end this a little bit early today. See, having an anger issue might not work in California. It works in the Midwest. I mean, she's from Iowa, right? That works in Iowa. Galindo said she wanted Zionist Americans to be locked up in prisons. There was no nuance in her statement, and that is, if that's what she said, I mean, yeah, you don't want somebody like that just from a point that that's stupid. But I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, as much as I love Graham Plantner on the positions, he's really showing to be, unfortunately, not the person we thought he was, right? Oh, I'm a working class person. His mom, and I guess, his mom owns a pretty fancy restaurant. She's worth over $1 million. And now Plantner's saying, oh, I don't think it's, I still think having $1 million as your net wealth is working class. Dude, see, here's the thing. I'm starting not to like Plantner because he's lying about shit a lot. He better not pull a Fetterman. He better not fucking pull a Fetterman. Yeah, but see, here's the problem. Someone mentions about Florida's violating state constitution. It doesn't matter if those who interpret the Constitution are in the pockets of the Republicans. It just doesn't matter then. Unfortunately, that's where, I mean, just look at the federal Supreme Court, right? It just does not matter. Are there any Democrats you like? Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, I like a lot of them. I mean, I'd have to, James Halrico, I think's doing a really good job. I'd have to go over to my ratings and see who's running. I like Ossoff. God, I don't even. Juliana Stratton, that's it. I'm like missing I'm having a brain fart on who's going to be my senator. Juliana Stratton, who won the Democratic nomination here over Krishnamurthy. I like her a lot. Okay. I like the wall. I forget what his name is. I also like Josh Turek, even though he's more establishment. I like him. I just don't like when you lie. Okay, is that asking too much? If somebody says they're working class and all that, but then you have your dad give you $200,000 to help buy your house, and your mom owns a restaurant that's worth over $1 million that sells Caesar salad at nearly $20, don't give me the woe is me argument. Sorry if I'm sitting there saying I don't like when people lie about who they are. I know that's radical. But yeah. The Michigan Senate race, I can't really say. I like Ed Markey. The Michigan Senate race, Tim Walz, even though he's going to be gone, I like him a lot. Even though this is the Senate list. Roy Cooper, it'll be interesting to see. I do not like Sherrod Brown. He's a fake progressive. And there really isn't much else competitive. No, here's the thing about I don't know what to believe about the tattoo. I don't know. If Susan Collins had a Nazi tattoo on her, the Democrats would be going after it left, right, and center. I'm just saying that. This is one of the problems I have with the Democratic Party right now, or Democratic politics, going back to a lot of other stuff, is there's starting to be a double standard. And I think in elections that can hurt you. Sherrod Brown's not a progressive. He doesn't. My litmus test for progressive is if you support single payer universal health care. He does not. Why doesn't he? His father was a doctor. Okay. So, yeah, that's my litmus test. If you support universal health care, single payer universal health care, um, then I consider you a progressive. If you do not, yeah, well, yeah. So, I mean, this is over. This is. I'm wondering if we've gotten a little bit more in Dallas County, or no, no, no. We're still at the same amount because that all red number hasn't changed. This is the one I'm really seeing right now. See if Julie Johnson's able to pull ahead in this one. I mean, this is pretty much the night's done. The night's done, except for that all red seat. I mean, would I like to see him back in Congress? Yeah, that would be nice. See, when it comes to the Nazi tattoo, I look at it more from a campaign point of view, and I do think that his campaign probably leaked the information to get it out as quickly as possible. Now, there are people who say they knew him when he was in the military that he knew exactly what that was. I don't believe that. Or I don't know if I should believe it. It kind of it sounds like a swift boat tactic like with John Kerry, right? The tattoos the least of my concerns. I just was like, this might not help him. Did Allred call Talrico racist? Did he literally say he's a racist? I guess that's what I want to know. Did Al Green publicly kill somebody or something? I know. Um Now, I'm going to say something very unpopular, but it's true. And people don't like the truth, but it's true. In many of these African American districts, it is it's more about who's connected to the churches, who's connected to people in the community that might be a little bit shadier than others than it is the people who are actually trying to go out and get votes, right? And try to do more for the community. And I think Al Green's there. It's the reason why, for some reason, James Clyburn was able to control the entire Democratic Party nomination for president in 2020, right? I've had to work in those dynamics. If you're not really getting into some insider workings of the district, it becomes very hard to win in those. Menifee probably had a better connection within the churches and those types of organizations. Yeah, I mean, we're only waiting for the polls to close in 20 minutes in El Paso. And once those early votes come in, they're going to call it for Paxton. Because here, John Cornyn will not campaign with Paxton. John Cornyn's done. Now, will he go Massey? Well, like, you are blind now to think that this is not the party of Donald Trump. Anybody, I mean, In 2020, you should have known that. We're 6 years later. If you don't see that this is the cult of personality, Nicolae Ceausescu political party of Donald Trump, if you're still one of these people identify as a Republican and holding on to some idea that this is going to, the Republican Party is still going to be, saved or whatever, you should not be taken seriously. Yeah, I hate seeing Clyburn will run until he dies like Grassley. Yeah. Well, Grassley looks like he's about to go under the grass soon. I mean, he does not look healthy. See, you know what? If I were Cassidy and Cornyn, I'd say we lost. I just wouldn't show up to the Senate for the rest of the session. I just would not show up. So, we still have nothing in from Dallas County on Colin Allred. I think they're just waiting for a few results come in. Now I'll throw it to you all in the chat. Do you consider 62 or 63-37 here? First of all, would it have been that result if Trump said nothing anyway? Even though Cornyn won the or had a plurality of votes in the primary. And what do you think will happen here? Now 37, because I think this number here, this 270, that's a key number now. Now, do I think they'll vote for Talarico? No, because he's probably a socialist communist and wants to help people. God forbid, right? Because the Republicans seem to be hell-bent on just being horrible people. The question is, do they just stay home? That's what I'm wondering. Do they just stay home? All right, so I mean, the only thing I think we're waiting on now is votes coming in from Dallas County for Allred. Now I think we're going to close this thing in at around 8. I mean, we'll maybe see if Allred does something, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be anything necessarily too impressive. Because I mean, we are seeing it not much because it is a primary, but I mean what Graham Plattner did is kind of like what we see here, but on the flip side, right? He was running against Janet Mills, who's the governor, not the incumbent sitting senator, but was the incumbent governor nonetheless. There is and this is where I think, unfortunately, the Republicans know politics, the Democrats don't. The Democrats know governance. They do not know politics. Graham Plattner does. That's what I like about him. He has run. He and Talarico have run amazingly effective and efficient campaigns. Amazingly so. I mean, Plattner's done it so amazingly. He got the governor to drop out a month and a half before the actual primary. Okay. Democrats could really learn from these campaigns and what they're actually campaigning on. The Republicans have already been having their civil war within their party, and my personal opinion now is that what we're seeing in this in the Louisiana race, in the in this Texas race, and in the Kentucky race, we're starting to see the end of that civil war. That the Republican Party is the Donald Trump cult, okay, or the I don't like communist cult, which basically means I don't like black people. I mean, that's what, when you hear conservatives say, I don't like communists, it basically means I don't like black people. Let's be honest to what those Republicans are. When will the Democrats, and one can maybe say that the civil war within the Democratic Party kind of maybe started with, kind of really started with AOC. She kind of was the first one to make that challenge. It was after Trump, 2018. Now you got Plattner coming in there. No one's taking out any incumbent senators on the Democratic side. But is that coming in the near future? Because one thing I think is very, very interesting is that we are seeing a shift. So, Boulder Crypto, Izzy Dragon 8807, the GOP is dead as a party. I mean, if you want to talk about the traditional sense of what the party was for, yeah. It's I mean, Trump is Nicolae Ceausescu. He is literally, if I want to say there is I mean, we've been comparing him to so many world leaders, and previously I was comparing him to Franco, but no, Trump is Nicolae Ceausescu. Okay, thank God I got my passport before I have to have that idiot's face in it. So that's a good thing. Danielson, thank you for the other super chat. Hold on, wait. It's one interesting thing to look at would be how many votes were cast in this runoff. See, actually, that's correct. As of now, it seems like it falls short of the 2.1 million votes cast in the Republican primary in March. Yeah, I would have to see. I mean, we don't know how many election day votes are going to come in. If I recall correctly, and I could be wrong, Texas usually votes more on election day. Not as much as Pennsylvania does, but it does more. But yeah, I mean, if the Democratic Party continues with the Schumers and Pelosi's, and then don't replace Pelosi with Hakeem Jeffries until they learn to end that. And this is the point: the Democratic Party or the progressives in the party are just going to have to forcefully take over the party. That's what they're going to have to do. There's still nothing coming in from the all red seats. Or I should say the Julie Johnson seat, but it's looking like it's going to be Colin Allred. Whoever wins this is going to win the general. 10 minutes from now, and they're going to declare Paxton the winner, unless they're just going to wait for the first votes to come in. And it's same thing over here. Okay, so I'll repeat it again because somebody mentioned it. I'll just repeat this again. Why isn't it being called yet? Because El Paso County and these other counties here are in the Mountain Time Zone. They don't call an election until all the polls are closed. So once the polls close at 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, then they'll declare it. Maybe they'll wait for some votes to come in from there, but the fact that it's just El Paso, they can make a pretty good assumption right now. So at 8 o'clock, they will declare Paxton the winner. That will happen. And that's the only reason why. Same thing happens in Florida. If you watch a presidential election, they don't call Florida until 8 p.m. Eastern time because the panhandle's in the Central Time Zone. They do that with a lot of states. Gavin Newsom will totally lose. If he's running against J.D. Vance, Newsom will lose. He's too identity politics heavy. He'll lose. Don't pick a San Francisco, California liberal as your candidate. That is automatically a recipe for disaster. Ask Kamala Harris. Hey, Matt. Thanks, Florida in 2000. Yeah. People have been asking me on my election history channel to do a 2000 election race in Florida. But honestly, if you watch the movie Recount, that is it. You know what? Somebody says JD Vance won't be the candidate in 2028 likely. I agree with that. I think JD Vance plays dumb hillbilly, but is not technically dumb hillbilly. He's JD Vance is the one who's college educated, but wants to be a hick, who drinks Mountain Dew, but will then have the most expensive pair of golf clubs and the nicest SUV. And will have that beard that isn't like a big beard, but isn't a short one either. It's like in between. It's like every single early millennial, late Gen X white male hillbilly fits the exact same mold. They're all wearing their Top Flight hat or something like that. They all dress like they just got off the links, but they also want to be rednecks at the same time. That's what JD Vance is. Well, wait, hold on. Because you mentioned Fujimori, and if I'm not mistaken, there is an election in Peru coming up soon. Or this year sometime, maybe not soon. But there's an election coming up in Peru, I think. There's the presidential election, Colombia is coming up this weekend, but I do believe there are some Peruvian elections as well. I'm not sure. What? El Paso shouldn't be releasing it. Oh my God. That's a mistake. They shouldn't be. I mean, that's early vote. They shouldn't. Fujimori won the first round Peru's presidential election this year. Right. There's a second round coming up, right? And isn't the person that won related in some way, either through marriage or through blood? I think through marriage. Isn't there something going? Yeah, I'm not sure. But a lot of people don't know that Japanese Peruvians are a huge influential group in Peru. Okay, the runoff elections in a few weeks. I thought I had on my calendar. I've been thinking about doing a lot more videos about foreign elections. The only reason I'm not doing videos, I have not really been doing videos. I've been working so much on a project. I'm creating, so as I mentioned, I have my precinct map, but I also have an extremely powerful dashboard that I've been working on for that I've been working on. Oh, that's interesting. I used to live in that precinct that I just clicked on right there. That's funny. Um, I'm working on a very powerful dashboard and integrating the voter file for Florida to give Florida the best voter file data program that the state has ever seen. But Florida Democrats don't want to win, so I don't know if they'd want it. But I've been working a lot on that. Because I do think that the people who watch my channel are not necessarily. It is his daughter? Okay. Um, because I think the people who follow my channel are a little bit, I would say, robust when it comes to their knowledge of politics. I do the American videos because it's easy. Like honestly, I turn on the camera, turn on the live stream, just speak. It's friggin' easy. I mean, it really is. Like all the analysis and whatever I give, it just comes off the top of my head. It's not that hard. But if I want to do the Colombian presidential election on Sunday, I got to really delve deep into that. And right now, the History Channel is doing significantly better than this channel. So I spend all my time and effort on that. I mean, I assume Travis County is red just because it is the most. I would say it's the most progressive county in Texas. Maybe not the most traditional liberal because there's a difference between liberal and progressive, but it's definitely the most progressive. But I mean, this isn't even Panola County. Cornyn has a lot. I wonder if that's where he's from originally or something. All right, 2 more minutes, and this is going to change. I just wish they'd give us some indication of what's happening here. Tuesday is going to be a big primary day, so I'm going to need a lot of caffeine for that one. Next Tuesday, a week from today. And then Tuesday after that will be Maine. Maine, Nevada, South Carolina, North Dakota. Then the weekend after that, it's going to be Alabama runoff, Georgia runoff, and Oklahoma. The week after that, it's going to be Maryland, New York, Utah, South Carolina runoff. Then we have the Louisiana runoff a few days later on Saturday. Slovakia has a referendum that unfortunately, apparently me being overseas, it's too late for me to actually get my ballot. And for those of you who are in the United States, we talk about, Optiscan, electronic devices for voting and stuff like that. Even like the UK, Germany, France, other countries, they just get a paper ballot. They put an X mark or a check next to the box and throw it in a box. To me, honestly, all of the technology that we have makes it easier to steal an election. Because if you look at the election result of Vern Buchanan versus, I forgot who he ran against in his first election when Katherine Harris ran for U.S. Senate, there were a number of precincts that were missing in the congressional race. And the congressional race was determined by like a few hundred votes. Those precincts that were missing, they had all the results for governor. So I think it was midterm election. They had all the results for governor. I think it was 2006. Governor, and all the other constitutional positions, state house, state senate, extremely democratic. If those results would have been replicated, then Vern Buchanan would have lost. But Sarasota County said, "Oh, we can't. Those votes were in the machine, and we don't have a paper trail, so now they're gone." Machines are the easiest way to steal an election because you can just say, "Oh, winner Paxton." What did I tell you? I said 8 o'clock. They're going to call it. That was just because they're waiting for the polls to close. That's it. Wait. No, I haven't. The Makerfield by-election, I hadn't looked at it yet because um just because I don't think that they had announced an election date, so it looks like now they have. Held on June 18th, 2026. I mean, it's going to be interesting because that's what? The 18th, that's 3 weeks from now? Basically, 3.5 weeks from now? Personally, I would rather be talking about UK politics, Canadian politics, French politics, Australian politics than talking about American politics. Significantly would rather be talking about those politics. I do not like talking about American politics. I hate it. But it's what I know and it's what gets the views. But once I get this program done and do all this other stuff, I am thinking about transitioning. I'm thinking about transitioning into a lot more international. Um, but no, I will look at that because that's obviously a huge election. Does Keir Starmer hold on? So I think that's the question. Does Keir Starmer wait until that by-election happens? Or because he's held on longer than he should. But I do like the fact that Andy Burnham is becoming the leader. Okay. Don't put the cart before the horse. Andy Burnham is going to challenge for the leadership after the local elections happen. Because if somehow Keir Starmer had resigned, and then somehow if Andy Burnham would have won that by-election, right? Because remember, this all started when the Greens won that by-election. If, let's say, Andy Burnham would have won that by-election, and then Labor still had a catastrophic local elections result, that would have reflected bad on Andy Burnham. And then people said, see, it didn't matter if it was Burnham or Starmer, Labor's in trouble. So it might be a good idea that if he is going to challenge for the leadership, it's after the local elections instead of before the local elections. That probably is a good move. Honestly, Burnham might lose that by. I mean, it's not a given. It's not a given. They should have had him in that other election. He would have easily won that. Greg Abbott's going to win as far as unless something drastic happens. I mean, you do have some crossover votes when it comes to Abbott. So, and I mean, this is why I'm not, we are seeing the rise. One of the problems is we are seeing the rise of right wing extremism. But I mean, this is going to be controversial to say, but it is, I think, true. As we're just waiting for these all red results come in because that's what we're waiting for. I want to see if he is going to go to Congress or Julie Johnson is going to be reelected to Congress. And Jasmine Crockett, like I said, she could have run in this seat if she wanted to. So yeah, I mean, this number stayed at 56. So they haven't even done any election day votes, unless maybe if we go here. Is this? Oh. They got them in numerical order. See, they're showing. See, this is what I'm saying. They're saying this is 64%, whereas here they're saying it's 56%. Nobody knows what percent it is, so we just gotta wait. Um. So yeah, we're just gonna wait on this one. Yeah, but I mean, one of the things is with labor as well with the Democrats, you have a bunch of consultants who try to determine what is electable instead of just having a bunch of people with different ideas go out there and run and then figure out what's electable. That's the problem. Yeah, James Talrico went a media. I'll get my Discord out here. Um, so here we go. James Talrico. And I can't get on Twitter on X. I do not have Twitter or X. So whenever I try to get on, especially on my phone, I can get on here, but when I try to get on my phone, it says download X. And I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that shit. I refuse to use X, and if you're a good progressive, you should also not be on X. Anyway, I want to thank Senator John Cornyn for his years of representing our state. We don't agree on everything, but we both still believe in public service. To Senator Cornyn supporters, you have a place in our campaign. I don't think we're going to see as many crossovers, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily, I mean, the play, it doesn't necessarily matter if you don't have to get all of his, you don't have to get all 40% or whatever we're at now. I mean, now we're looking at 37%, right? And if this number, well, let me hold on a second. Let me look at something. Okay. No. So that would have been 18. 2010. I want to look at something really quick. Oh no, I put 10, I'm at 12. So I don't know if, yeah, Ted Cruz did not win the primary. It went to a runoff. Want to see 1-1. Okay, so when Ted Cruz ran in 2012, 1.4 million voted in the primary and 1.1 million voted in the runoff. So there was a dip in the amount of votes. But as I think Danielson already mentioned, we're talking about the runoff, or the primary had what, 2.1 million? We're significantly lower than that number. You know, there might just be a lot of people who are saying, screw it, I'm not going to vote. They just don't care. Oh, I like Blue Sky. I like it significantly better. No, I mean, had the dear leader not said vote for Paxton, I think it could have been even. This shows that it is a Nicolae Ceausescu party. The Republican Party is a Nicolae Ceausescu party. Any predictions for the South African local elections in November? No, I don't know anything about the South African national elections in November, or local elections in November. I don't even think I have them on my list. I thought I had one South African. See, because a lot of these elections, I don't even know they're going to come until they come. I have Victoria state election, so I assume that's going to be Australia. That's one I'll follow. New Zealand Parliament in November. The Israeli Knesset. Going to be keeping an eye on the now that we're talking about a referendum in Alberta, we'll keep an eye on that. We had the elections in Brazil. I don't know what's going on in Quebec. They're supposed to have an election this year. The Parti Québécois and the Liberals are now tied, so we'll see. Swedish Parliament has elections as well. Iceland has a European Union referendum. And there are some Mexican state elections in July, the day after the Slovak referendum. Algeria has parliamentary elections. I would like, there are some Swiss referendums I've been following because I know some people from Switzerland, and that's about tightening immigration and spending and stuff like that. The Armenian parliamentary elections come up in a few weeks from now. So yeah, I'd like to start hitting on those a little bit more too. Yeah, see, BB, I don't know. I don't support a genocidal maniac. I think Trump's too much of a chicken shit to be a genocidal maniac, so that, you know, why he might not be put into that list. Massachusetts doesn't have their primary until September 1st. Yeah, so the Armenian elections, I don't know if you heard me. I said the Armenian elections are on the 7th. Well, their parliamentary elections are. I don't know if they're going to also have the EU. Now, one thing, as now a citizen of the European Union, I'm just waiting for my passport, my ID card to come from Slovakia. That kind of is the last process. But as a European Union citizen, they are working on an agreement where European Union citizens can live and work in Australia for 4 years and vice versa, that Australian citizens can work in the EU. If that happens, and things look well financially, my ass is going to be in Melbourne for 4 years. New Hampshire doesn't have their primary until September. Yeah, the late primaries: New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Delaware, Massachusetts. In fact, Delaware is the last state, the 15th. Then we had the Florida primary on the 18th. Like I said, I mean, I'm not a Florida voter right now, but I'd probably vote for Demings and Vindman. Bukele. I mean, are they even having elections in El Salvador anymore? Really? I don't know. They might not be. Um, I mean, Bukele has a whole entire city named after cryptocurrency. That in and of itself should show you how shady cryptocurrency is. I've never been to I've never been to Australia. but I am, though I haven't been good at it lately, I'm one of like the biggest Australiophiles that I know. As a matter of fact, I have I have to look at the. We're not last. All right. So I was looking at the ladder for the AFL, and West Coast is my team. Though I'd like to go to Melbourne, I don't want to go to Perth. I'd like to see Perth, but West Coast is my team. As long as Collingwood is doing bad, okay. I don't like Collingwood. Okay. I just don't like Collingwood. Um, I love the AFL. I love the AFL. I used to watch Australian rugby. I usually, though I haven't done it recently, watched Australian politics religiously. I love Australian politics. Um, so yeah, if I can have a chance to move to Australia, I will take that. I will take that in a heartbeat because I don't know if I'll like it or not, but I've always just have wanted to move there. I was supposed to go. This would have been interesting. I ended up going to Southern Illinois University and then to McGill University. But I was actually slated to go to University of New South Wales. I had applied and had done everything to get into the University of New South Wales, but the people who handled my application totally screwed it up, and I wasn't able to go to University of New South Wales. It makes me think, had that happened, what my life would have been like. I'd probably be in Australian politics right now, probably an Australian citizen. Then I would have had 3 citizenships, Australian, American, and Slovak, but I probably would have gotten rid of the American citizenship once I got the Australian one. Yeah, I would have liked, I mean, I'd like to go to Victoria more, but University of New South Wales was just the one that um that I was applying to. I just wanted to get to Australia, right? Have you thought about doing a video on mandatory voting? Thanks for the super chat. No, I have not, because it is different depending on what country you're in, right? It seems like in Australia it works pretty well, but in Brazil it's a friggin' nightmare, right? So it really it does seem like that's the case, and I don't want it in the United States. We already have stupid people not voting. The people who aren't voting now are the really stupid people, and I don't want President, Kanye West. We already got Trump. I don't want Kanye West. And everyone, it's funny. Everybody talks about how, oh, look what's happened to the United States, blah, 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 under Donald Trump. We elected Ronald Reagan, a friggin' actor, okay? And I was talking to somebody about American politics a few days ago. And they were talking about how many people, like, we lost our way recently and stuff. I go, no, no, no. You know what? Go watch those men on the street, women on the street interviews from 1960s. They try to sound smarter, but they're still dumb. Okay, they're still not smart. What they're saying is very, very either elementary or dumb. America has always been a dumb country, and I hate to say it, no Nazis, no NASA. I've always said that. No Nazis, no NASA. And it's the truth. Okay? Whereas the Russian space, this is a lie that you hear in the movie The Right Stuff. The Right Stuff is, along with Gandhi, The Right Stuff and Gandhi are my 2 favorite movies of all time. In The Right Stuff, they show the Soviet development program, and Eisenhower and Johnson is there, who's president of the Senate, and Werner von Braun, or the guy who plays him, is there. They don't actually call him Werner von Braun. They just say he's the head of the program. Johnson says, "Are those their Germans that are doing that?" And he goes, "No, our Germans are better than their Germans." The Germans didn't build the Soviet space program. That was totally built within the Soviet Union by Soviet engineers, not by German engineers in the Soviet Union. Whereas the American one was built by German engineers. No Nazis, no NASA. Um, Dream Ticket. Okay, well, Dream Ticket. Using past presidents. I can't think of one. I could tell you my dream. Oh, if you were to take any two politicians in the world, put them together, and have it be a ticket for president in the United States, my dream ticket would easily be Bob Hawke, Jack Layton. That would be my ticket. Bob Hawke, Jack Layton. They would never lose an election. Um, yeah, I need to watch. Oh, Star City coming out. So I saw about that. Yeah, I've always been very interested in the Soviet space program. Um, um, I mean, are we talking about previous presidents, or are we talking about previous presidential candidates? Because I know that we want to grab somebody from the past because we want to show that, oh, we know something about the past. Bernie Sanders would still be number one on my list. Who his running mate would be? I mean, honestly, Bernie Sanders AOC. So if you even want to talk, if we're talking about just candidates, I'd say Bernie Sanders AOC. That would be my dream ticket. I'm not saying it would win. I think it would, but that would be my dream ticket. We're still waiting on Dallas County to get some votes. Let's see if they got them. No, there's still nothing over on the on this either. So, yeah. Yeah, so somebody mentioned Herbert Hoover was the OG technocrat. Yeah, I did a whole entire video about California politics that some conservatives didn't like because by the title of it being from racist to liberal, we're implying that I was calling conservative or calling Republicans like Reagan and Nixon racist. Um, I'm not saying Reagan was racist. He used racist tactics way more than Nixon did. Um, but in that one, I only mentioned Herbert Hoover for like 1 minute because he wasn't involved with California politics. He just happened to be from California. Well, from 1992 on, I could tell you who I did vote for in every single Democratic primary. 1992, I voted for Clinton. I would have voted for Harkin, because I worked for Harkin, but Harkin had dropped out. 96, I voted for Clinton. 90 or 2000, I voted for Gore, but I regret that. I wish I would have voted for Bradley. 2004, I voted for Edwards. 2008, I voted for Edwards, even though he had already dropped out. 2012, I voted for Obama. I don't even think anyone else was running. 2016, I voted, and this is it. 2016, I voted for Bernie Sanders. 2020, I voted for Bernie Sanders. 2024, I voted for Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders is the presidential candidate that I've voted for the most. So the last three presidential elections and Democratic primary, I voted for Bernie Sanders. No, but here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna throw myself. I'm gonna say something that might not be might make me look crazy. Um, but I'll say it anyway. Um, I wonder if the whole thing about everything that happened with the Democratic Party in 2024 was not necessarily set up by Joe Biden himself, but was set up by those working in the Biden White House and campaign. So, Sanders voters elected Trump. No, that is another false statistic. Look up the statistics. Look up the ANES votes. This is one of the reasons why I don't like American politics. Is somebody hears something from something that's not even a good source or just from some Democrat, but when the data is there, did you know that more Hillary Clinton people voted for John McCain than Bernie Sanders people voted for Donald Trump? It's all in the ANES studies. Just look it up, a little bit of research. Don't take some DNC talking head to say that that's the case. That is an absolute lie. An absolute lie. This is why I hate dealing with American politics. There is a lack of intelligence in it. Ugh. Anyway, that's something that irks me more than anything. And if you're gonna claim us Trump or us Sanders supporters voted for Trump, it's not a good way to get us over on your side to enthusiastically vote for your candidates. That's why progressives need to knock those establishment Democrats the fuck out of the party. Anyway, let me get back to it with Biden. Biden was already losing it in 2020. He already was okay in 2020. That's why he needed James Clyburn to win the nomination for him. He becomes president. Okay. Once he becomes president, he's still right with the mouth dropping and all that. You saw it. It wasn't hard. Now the people in the White House know this, right? The people in the White House can see him every day, right? So I'm surprised nothing's come from Texas. So Biden says, and his campaign say that he is going to run for re-election. Even though he only promised to run for one term, he says he's going to run for re-election. That clears the field. You don't run against an incumbent president. That clears the field. He gets all the delegates. Okay? So now the Biden campaign controls the nomination process. Because here's the one thing that I have always found interesting. Why did they have that presidential debate between Biden and Trump before the convention? I mean, traditionally, presidential debates are in October, okay? Not before a convention, insignificantly before a convention. Why did the Biden people agree to that? My assumption, the Biden campaign knew that he was going to go up there. He was going to do a horrible ass job, which he did. It was predictable. And then they said, well, there's going to be calls for him to resign. He's tough-headed, so he's not going to do it. We're going to have people like Nancy Pelosi and all that come in and tell him he has to not resign, but he has to drop being the nominee for the Democratic Party. He goes ahead and drops out. And the Democratic Party and the Biden people have all the delegates. They can choose who they want to be the nominee. Because I've always thought that having that debate, a general election debate, before neither party has an actual officially nominated candidate was fishy as shit. Now, Donald Trump has a cult. He was already safe. Biden was not. And that fact that they had the debate, which showed him to be shaky, showed him to be not electable, scared the shit out of Democrats, forcing him to drop out, but did it because, see, here's the thing. If they had done the debates after the convention, they're shit out of luck. Biden is the candidate, right? So do it before the convention so you can get that shit, you can show how bad he is and change horses. And guess what? You have all the delegates. You can pick Kamala Harris. You can pick whoever you want. It's a conspiracy theory, I know, but it comes back to, I don't see why you would have that debate that early. You would only have the debate that early before the conventions if you intend on having something change in those conventions. Call me crazy, but yeah. Superdelegate policy is total crap and undemocratic. It's not even as bad as it used to be. Okay, because I don't know how many of you were, because I know I have a lot of younger people on here. I don't know how many of you were paying attention to the 2016 Democratic primary. But one graphic they would always show, like even if Bernie Sanders was winning like New Hampshire and stuff like that, they wouldn't show the vote amount really. They would show the delegate amount. They already had the super delegates baked in. Now that is a true assessment of the delegate count, but by always having the super delegate count baked into the total delegate count, it basically looked like Hillary's nomination was a foregone conclusion. It didn't matter what the primaries did. Okay. I think there was one primary. Was it Indiana or was it Michigan? There's one that like Bernie hardly campaigned in and he was somewhere else and he ended up winning it. Right. So yeah. I mean, to me, I don't know if that's the case, but as someone who's worked in Democratic politics since 1991, that wouldn't surprise me. I know it's crazy, but it's like, certain things don't make sense. Now I'm not going to be Kyle Kalinske and say the reason that the reason we got Kamala Harris was because of Mossad, because he just blames Mossad for everything, right? I'm not going to go that far. So yeah, I don't know if we're going to get anything. Okay, actually, it looks like one precinct went in because the vote total went from 56.56% to 56.66%. No, and a lot of people don't remember when Bernie Sanders, and I'll eventually make a video about the 2016 primary on my election history channel. Bernie originally ran, if I recall, he really did run because he didn't think somebody should just be coordinated as the Democratic nominee. As a Democratic voter myself, we haven't truly been able to pick a candidate since 2008. 2012 Obama, right? We can say 2012. No one was going to run against them, and it made sense that nobody was going to run against them. And see, if you're just a regular average voter and you see the Democratic Party controlling this process all the time of who their nominee is, if you're just an outsider, a non-party affiliated voter or whatever, you're going to look at the Democratic Party as corrupt. They need to get rid of that. Yeah, I think, let's see if we got something over here. Oh, it looks like they've just done, yeah, see, they've done that too. So, like, literally, like, one precinct has come in. In a recent poll in Alabama, I mean, I don't know about poll. I mean, I don't really look at polls except to get some bird's eye view and to even just see who the candidates are. Um, but it will be interesting to see which states are. I mean, the Trump endorsed candidates are doing well, which then goes back to the point that we are seeing the Nikolai Ceausescuization of this party or of politics, right? Kyle never brought up Mossad regarding Kamala. I know he didn't. My point is that he just blames Mossad for everything. Okay, it's not meant to be taken literally. It's sarcasm. Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, I have a feeling this today was just going to be an easy, quick night. So I'm thinking about signing off, everyone. Obviously they're counting in Dallas literally one vote at a time, one vote every minute, because this isn't. Now maybe I'll wait till 9 o'clock. We'll see if anything comes in, because this isn't necessarily a Colin Allred win. So we'll see. See, one of the problems about APAC and one of the problems about APAC, and this is my opinion, one of the problems with APAC, as well as Cuban American lobbies that you have out there, is that you have these two specific interest groups or group of individuals or whatever controlling national politics to essentially win a segment of the vote in Florida. Right? I mean, that's really what it is. Yeah, Garcia won that one. Let's see if we got any more counties. No, it looks pretty much the same. I mean, this does bode well for the Democrats. And we'll see the first legitimate pollster coming out, but like I can't even read polls now. It's like I don't know. I do. So we'll wait till 9. I do have to get my video out for my other channel, my successful channel, not this one, my successful one, and and get that out. Will a successful World Cup slightly boost Trump and Republican Party over summer? United States. Okay, I'm making a prediction. Probably. I hate conspiracy theories, but like the only one I believe is that one that I told you, right? But I do think the United States, through the way FIFA is just stroking Donald Trump, the United States will at least make the semifinals of the World Cup. Not through the way they play, but through an offsides here, a red card here. But hey, my France, we won the World Cup in 1998 when Marcel Desailly was taken off with a red card. So you can still win with a player missing. Max, thank you very much for the super chat. Trump giving subpoenas to streamers is wild. Is he doing that? See, seriously, people, America's lost. I One of the reasons why I really want to just teach English again or just talk about politics in other countries is when I talk about American politics, I feel my brain cells dying. Okay, it's really like that. Oh, the United States. I mean, Christian Pulisic is one of the most overrated players. Okay, I'm not even going to say he's overrated. We just hear about him a lot in the United States. I mean, we hear about him in the United States because he's the best player, so-called best player. I'd say Tyler Adams, Wes McKennie, other people, so-called best player for the United States. Though, like a lot of the year, he's on the bench for AC Milan, or like there was a game recently, he wasn't even in the lineup, right? No, okay, so here's the problem, and this is one of the problems I have with people saying the AFD or Le Rassemblement National or somebody like that is like Trump. They're not Trump. They're right wing. They believe in tighter immigration, but they're not authoritarians. They would change policy, but they're not authoritarians. And I think for the most part, they're not racist. And this is one problem that the left has, that if you support tougher immigration, which I actually do, you're labeled a racist. Okay. As a matter of fact, and a lot of people forget this, or just decide they don't want to listen to it. The big reason why Nigel Farage formed Reform UK was because UKIP was becoming extremely racist. Okay. Had he stayed in that party, I mean, the UKIP is nothing now. So yeah. You know what? When it comes to Bernie's age, I mean, he already said he's not going to run. I don't care what their age is. Obviously, nobody cared what Biden's age was when he was sitting there going, ah. Okay, at least Bernie isn't there sitting there going, ah, get rid of Medicare, oh, right? At least Bernie has a brain. He's sharp. He has all of his faculties. Okay, I see people a lot younger that look a lot dumber. Okay, who would I rather have, Bernie Sanders or Don Jr.? Well, actually, I mean, seeing this is one thing too. One of the left parties that has taken a stand on immigration is Smear from Slovakia. The because you got to realize Fico party is considered a left wing economic party, but is right um on traditional family issues and things like immigration. So you do get this mix. Good, I sneezed. I was wondering if it was going to be one of those ones where, like, you do it and you do it and it doesn't happen. So yeah. See, and this is I like when it comes to immigration, I don't agree with the Republicans. See, this is the problem with American politics. I don't agree with the Republicans and I don't agree with the Democrats. And nowadays, you just can't have a middle nuanced view. You either got to be all in on deporting every single person, or you have to be like, we have to give amnesty to people who are here illegally. And there's a huge segment of the population that's in the middle go, I don't agree with either of those. Okay. And it's sort of funny because like you have Democrats in the United States who got mad at Donald Trump in his first year because he was talking about creating a point system to allow people to come into the United States. A lot of liberals and Democrats, oh, no, we can't have a point system. That's racist, because of course it's racist. It has to do with immigration, and for some reason, a lot of liberals think only people of color immigrate, so therefore that's racist. But then at the same time, they're praising Justin Trudeau Yet Canada has a points-based system. They don't even know what the fuck Canada has. They bitch at Trump because he's doing it, but don't say anything about Trudeau or Canada. Canada has had the point system through Chrétien, Harper, Paul Martin, all of them recently. Now, they still have the point system. This is the problem I have with American politics. It is so self-centered on America. There's no awareness of outside, even though they want to praise things from outside. Oh, Justin Trudeau's great. Oh, wait, they have a point system for immigration. Oh, well, then it must not be that bad if Justin Trudeau did. Oh, but Trump does it, so it's horrible. Make up your fucking mind. It's like, and this is the problem I have. It's not a nuance of policy. It's a both, because you get those situations where once you find out that the guy you praise actually supports a system that you say doesn't work, you're in a catch-22. And how do you deal with that? That's an issue. And that's the problem I have with politics nowadays. It's like you got to be all in or all out. Okay. That's the problem with American politics with the system that we have now. If we had ranked choice voting, I think that would change. Though it doesn't mean it won't, right? You got countries like Australia and stuff that still have it's either Labor or Liberals, right? So even though you have that instant runoff there, doesn't mean necessarily you're going to get that. Slovakia. I mean, we're a country that has the elections are just like Israel. That the people come from member districts, but it's a national election, and the proportional representation is determined by the national results, not by proportional representation within districts. So yeah. Oh yeah, electoral college. Of course. I mean, that's a big one. Yeah, this all red number is just not changing. Winner take all, first to 50% plus one. No, but see, that's the problem. It isn't first to 50% plus one. I mean, if it's 33, 33, 34, 34 wins. I mean, it depends on if it's a state like Georgia or something where you have a runoff. But that's the problem I have. The biggest problem I have with American politics, and I'm not saying to people in this chat, right? We've been talking about Peru. We've been talking about Australia. We've been talking about the UK. We've been talking about, someone mentioned the Armenian politics, right? You're a different group. But the average American, they just, America, freedom. I'm getting tired of hearing the fucking word freedom. We got the 250 coming up here. Oh my God. I mean, okay, many of you probably watching this are from other countries. What the hell do you think of Americans? Because I think we're like the lowest form of whale shit. Like, we're lower than whale shit. We're down there. What do you guys think? And what do you think of our politics? Do you watch our politics because it's such a massive clusterfuck of everything that, like, you watch and it's like, this is pretty goddamn funny? Because I'm sorry, it's like American politics to me is just like the bottom of the barrel. It is the I don't know, what is the worst beer? Stag. Stag is the worst beer you can buy. It is the Stag of politics. And if you don't know what Stag is, just look it up. It is like the most redneck. If you know Natural Light and all that kind of stuff and you think that's redneck, Stag out rednecks it. So it's like, yeah. Yeah, because I heard Mike Dugan dropped out of that race, right? So we'll see what happens there. And let's put it this way, I'm very vocal on this. I'm not as vocal as I could be because of the whole we don't have freedom here. Some Trump person's watching this live stream, and I say something about Trump, especially being a dual citizen. You never know what's going to happen. That shouldn't be a worry we have. Everyone setting off fireworks for 250 have already started around me. Yeah, I mean, Cletus, the toothless redneck down the street, will probably blow off his hand during it because he was drinking too much friggin' stag. Dave is someone from India. Even the magists would be brain surgeons compared to folks here. Um, Modi's bad, right? But here's why. Here I don't know because I've been watching not Indian politics, but because one thing that I'm very much into is infrastructure, trains. Like a lot of that, like right now, I have a channel on called Planes, Trains, Everything. Some guy in Scotland. So that's what I have right now on my television. I love public transit, trains, aviation, stuff like that. India's building some really cool public works projects. Like they got this new is it from Pune to Mumbai? They got this new bridge and this new tunnel that's amazing. America can't build that stuff anymore. Like you're seeing nice high speed bullet trains to, in India. You're not, you got Amtrak here. Yeah, you got Acela. You got Brightline down in Florida, which is about to go bankrupt because it's ridiculously inefficient. Okay, and then that's another thing. You got inefficient public transits. And yeah, I like channels like Miles in Transit and all that. I watch those all the time. But like even India has the Sapson high speed rail. I took that from St. Petersburg to Moscow. Loved it. But America's not innovating anymore. It just isn't. And to me that is a big problem. And that's not a Trump issue. We've let infrastructure crumble. It's not only that we've let infrastructure crumble in the United States, it's that we no longer aspire to be the best. Okay, John F. Kennedy said, fuck it, we're going to put a man on the moon at the end of this decade. And at the end of that decade, way at the end of that decade, July of 69, they did that. We don't have that ambition. We don't have that drive anymore. Now it's we can't afford it. No, we can't do it. Oh, who's going to bitch about this, that, or the other? We've lost our... And do I think America could have been better back then? Yes, because we had the ambition and drive. Granted, we still didn't give our people fucking health care. That's a big problem. But there was an ambition, there was a drive, there was a desire to make things better. Somewhat. But even then, even if we want to talk about the Kennedy era and stuff, he wanted to improve having rockets and stuff like that. But we didn't really improve the infrastructure. Eisenhower did with the interstate system, then that was built on. But it just made it that we have more roads. Chicago's public transit system. Okay, the L sucks. And the L sucks because you have to go into Chicago to go out. So if you're at O'Hare and you take the blue line, you have to take the blue line into the loop And if you want to go out to, let's say, well, anywhere west of the loop, which is everything but the lake, you have to go back out. So there's no north south except for like the red line or something like that that goes north south through like Chicago, Evanston, stuff like that. Metro's not bad. San Francisco has a good system. New York City has a good system. The only problem I would just like some western Chicago, western suburbs, north south connections. Even make them a tram or something like that. Make it light rail. Doesn't have to be subway. Doesn't have to be underground. A lot of the Chicago the L is above ground. It's probably way more above ground than it is below ground. But yeah, so that was the thing. I was saying with Danielson is that I do think that that's what I look for in a society. Are we moving ahead? Are we building new things? Are we innovative? Um, it does seem like America, especially with our obsession with social media, everyone wanting to be a rock star, like right, like everyone in America wants to be a rock star or an influencer and all that. I don't want to be an influencer. I want to make money off of YouTube, yeah, but you know, I came on here because I mean because I saw a gap. I decided to try to fill it with the political stuff like you're watching right now. It's not that great. I hate to say it. I think that depending on how this year goes, this might be the last year I do voting trend. But the History Channel, even though I have less subscribers, about what 6,000 less subscribers, it's doing significantly better as far as watch hours and everything else. Significantly better. So that's where I'm going to be putting my time and effort. We're still waiting for these votes in Texas. Jeez. AI, see, I'm kind of split on AI. Right now, AI is helping me do something I've never been able to do before. So obviously, I deal, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I'm working on a program that is taking my dashboard. I mean, this is just the precinct dashboard, but I have a much more advanced that goes in for clients or for people running for office, right? And integrating the voter file from Florida, updating the voter file, and doing other stuff to make it the most dynamic, data driven voter file in Florida. I'm doing that almost exclusively with AI. I've always had it visioned, but I haven't been able to do it unless I wanted to pay a programmer thousands of dollars that I didn't have to make it work. AI is allowing me to make this program and make it efficient. AI does have its place. But yes, overall, it, on the flip side, it's making a lot more people not think. Correct. Progressive Democrats of America has a 21st century economic bill of rights initiative. Right. I mean, now the Democratic Party is really bad at PR. They're just horrible. I don't think we're going to get anything regarding. I don't think we're going to get anything regarding what's it called, um, Texas. Yeah, I mean AI can be used in a It's, you know what? It's not just, it's like the internet, right? The internet overall, because remember, I don't know how many of you know that I remember when there was no internet. I remember when there were no smartphones that you actually had to pick up the phone and see who was on the other side. I remember not having GPS to drive from point A to point B. I drove from Florida all the way to Los Angeles one time, and I had to use maps. Good thing is you only have to take I-10 to go the whole entire way, but I didn't take I-10. I actually went up to I-40 at one point and some other interstates. But what I want to say about the internet is it is good until it's not, right? And that's why I think AI is. Oh, wait. So we got a few more votes in. Jeez, like what's taking this? What's taking so long there? I mean, I assume All Red's going to win, but is it bad PR or they really don't care about the public? I mean, it's both, really, right? I mean, when you used to see Nancy Pelosi do stuff, it was the corniest shit. And Chuck Schumer nowadays. It's the corniest shit that you can see through that. But then they don't care either, right? And see, this is where maybe a lot of you who are in this channel are younger. You're in your 20s, maybe early 30s. I get people in the chat sometimes or in the comments say, how, what should I do to get involved with politics? I'm like, don't. I mean, unless you like this, don't. And yeah, after 30, and that's the reason why I've kind of given up with a lot of stuff. I just don't see any change. There's not going to be any universal healthcare in my lifetime. Luckily, I now have the ability to go to another country to get that. I have now the ability to move to another country to have the American dream. Okay. Though I like Ed Davey campaign style. I see someone just mentioned Ed Davey campaign style. I don't know what that was in reference to. I liked when he campaigned in the last general election, to be honest. I think Lib Dems did a little bit better as well. So yeah. I'm going to read some of these last comments that we have. I wonder if Dallas has polling issues. I mean, that's possible. Yes. Brendan Fleming, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Dave, do you buy that having Paxton in the race is better for Talrico, or is it that Democratic copium? P.S. I will be rooting hard for Talrico, but I value your opinion. Overall, like what we've seen, not necessarily, but the question is, in a 50-50 race, does it matter? If we're all of a sudden getting to a point where this race is going to come down to tens of votes or hundreds of votes, those 2% of Cornyn voters who said they'd vote for Talrico, the 8% that said they won't vote or they don't know or whatever, it could make the difference. It could. I only think it's going to make the difference in the smallest of margins. We got to see how this campaign plays out. Because maybe some stupid comments will be made by Cornyn. The one thing I say about Talrico is very, very calculated and very careful about what he says. That might be his path to victory. Yeah, see, so Mike, yes, so Mike Hirsch here says unions have to get on the right side of the issue. We can't afford privatized healthcare anymore. This is the reason why I've always been against unions. because unions have always supported privatized healthcare because they add that into their package of benefits in order for people to become union members. Um, and it's only in America, like in other countries, very, very unionized, like France, still have a universal healthcare system because I think there it's more about protecting the workers, whereas here in the United States, it's more about certain people wanting to be leaders of unions and had political influence. There are some that are the exception to the rules, like the flight attendants union is like one of the only, like, they're good. Okay. Public service unions I find are bad because they only want to bloat government. Like we have here in the state of Illinois, we have a what is it? Um like a school administrators unit or union. They're horrible. They should not exist. Because here in the state of Illinois, we have a ton of school districts. Like literally the county that I live in, that I think has roughly about 50,000 people, has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. I think it has 10 school districts. And a county with 50,000 people, not students, people. Okay. So to me, what should happen is like in Florida, they have the school boards consolidated into counties. Orange County Public Schools, Hillsborough County Public Schools, and so on, right? The only reason in Illinois we have all of these school boards is so those administrators can have jobs. They're totally useless, but each one of those school boards needs a superintendent. Each one of those needs staff. Each one of those need everything, even though you could consolidate it all in one county. It's shit like this is the reason why stuff doesn't get done in the United States. No, I think UAW and AFL-CIO are basically union leaders wanting to have the influence in the Democratic Party. AFL-CIO, I believe, endorsed Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. Okay, that tells you all you need to know about them. It's all about political power. It's not about the workers. And that's the issue I have. But I will say that, I mean, AFL-CIO is like the umbrella of a lot of organizations underneath it. So you really have to look at the communication workers or the IBEW or though you have to look at those individually. To me, a lot of public service unions are purely to bloat the government and are there to protect wrongdoing, like all the police unions, right? Police unions in and of itself just shows that not all unions should be unions. So somebody mentions this. The culinary union in Vegas is very anti-Medicare for all because of the same reason. They want to be their only members to have benefits. I was surprised when I talked to them about it. It's BS. Right. And you remember in 2016, the culinary workers endorsed Hillary Clinton. But then when the caucus came, I don't know if basically the members of the caucus voted for Bernie Sanders, right? Because see, this is another thing. If you want to work in Vegas, you're obligated to join. You're not getting a job in Vegas without having culinary union support. It's just not going to happen. And I mean, unions are a good thing if run well. I mean, I don't oppose the idea of union. I absolutely 1000% agree with what a union is and should be. But it needs to have a decentralized leadership. That's the only way I think you're going to deliver to your people. And unions are starting to shift right because the Democrats are cozying up to Wall Street. Now, some are shifting right for reasons I don't have a problem with. So, for example, what is it? What is it? The UMWA, the United Mine Workers of America? They shift over to the right originally because of Democratic environmental policy. I'm fine with that. We have like we literally have like two coal plants next to each other. Now, I'm gonna pull up my Google Maps here to just show you this because it literally is insane. Go out to coal. Okay. So this is a coal plant here. But then this is a coal plant here. So like you literally have two coal plants within 5 miles of each other. I mean, this is why we don't have nice things, is because you have two coal plants within 5 miles of each other and just polluting the air. But hey, they got the lobby. That's all that matters. I mean, that is, and I think when you come into Marissa, well, there's like no, I think you really see them when you come out of Marissa. Like if you come about here, like you can see the smokestack over there, and then usually you can see the other plant. Oh, maybe. No, I think it's up more. Usually you can see the smoke from the other one, or the steam, I guess I should say, from the other one coming there. I mean, it's just insane. It's just nuts. Why does it matter that they're right next to each other? Because you have a collection of coal emissions happening within 5 miles of each other, polluting the shit out of the air. That's why. I mean, it's not, it's that it's two coal plants that are next to each other. Okay. It's, if it were if it were something else, it'd be different. I mean, we can say nuclear is like significantly safer. The problem with nuclear is if it goes wrong, it goes wrong, right? That's the problem with it. Yeah, Hillary won the caucus overall. I think barely though. But the culinary workers, they supported Bernie. Or you know what? The whole culinary workers thing might have been 2020. When the culinary workers might have endorsed Biden, and then the people. I mean, both years it happened, but it could have been more that. Yeah, I mean that's just the one that I'm thinking of. The one I'm looking at is just on this side of I-57. This is below 64 and I-57. I think there are. I know once you get over here in El Dorado North, so I think in between Benton, I think in this area here, you got a lot of coal mining going on here. I don't know if you have power plants though. But yeah, this is coal belt. Like Southern Illinois is just basically northern Kentucky. Northwest Kentucky. I live in it. Southern Illinois is an absolute shithole. If you were to stick an enema in the state of Illinois, you'd stick it right in Southern Illinois. Yeah, I think these are going to take forever. I'm not going to wait for what it is. So, yeah. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end it tonight. That election, I mean, this was a 2-hour stream, but that election ended quickly. So we're in Ceausescu territory here. We'll see what happens. Next live stream, I'll do one for next week. We got a lot of primaries going on. Probably won't be doing any regular videos, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Not really much to talk about except for these primaries. And now honestly, with the exception of Iowa and California, which are happening on the same day, there really aren't. And Michigan happens in August. There really isn't much to talk about. Like almost the whole month. Wow, actually, I think the whole month of July has Arizona as its primary, right? That's it. So July is going to be dead. So we have a few more coming up, then it's going to be dead. Then we're going to get August, where we're going to get Florida, we're going to get Michigan, we're going to get a few others, and then getting ready to go into the general. So yeah. So as of right now, I don't know if I'm actually going to do any videos. Maybe wait more till election day. It just has not been as productive to do so as it was in 2024. But I think what will happen is once we get into early voting and we get into the election after Labor Day, then things will change. All right. Well, thank you all very much. I will see you in the next live stream. If you do like election history, go over to my election history channel. I'm going to have a new video up tomorrow. If you become a member of the channel, you'll be able to see it in a couple minutes. I'll have it up.